3.
Hello everybody peeps, hello. We are apparently live, yeah, something like that, it says in my ear. There's all sorts of strange languages being talked in chat currently. Disco Des, I am Vapefest 2015 unofficial cider distributor. Now listen to me, Disco Des, I didn't get any cider last year. Yes,
Neither did I.
so you know what you're going to do this year, don't you? Make sure you save some for me.
Got a special mug and everything this year.
Oh yeah, he's Mr. Dibley. Look, here we go with his special mug.
Look, I went and got this for Disco Desi's cider, specially made in the Isle of Wight.
Yeah, it was hand thrown in the Isle of Wight, and as I said to Gary moments ago, if he's naughty at home, it'll be hand thrown by his wife. Yeah, at his head. Yes, it is Marco Chief. Yes, and Fuzzy, and Phil. Hello. And Rachel says, cider. Yes, we do like cider. I've got some very nice cider downstairs. I should have brought a bottle in, but there you go. Never mind. I've got juice. Disco Des says, we'll do, boys. That's what we like to see, Disco Des.
Nice.
Yes, make sure you save some, because we'll be there the whole weekend, and we'll be thirsty. Yes. Anyway, I'll make it about 10 seconds to 9 o'clock. Yeah. Shall we have the bug? I think we'll stay away from the bug because that might knock our sync out. So we won't have the bug tonight. No. We'll just carry on as we are. Yeah. Have a look at Mr. Dibley. There he's on screen. Live vape.
We're just going to crack straight in, are we?
Yeah, I'll make it 20 seconds past 9 o'clock now. So
we're there.
Let's have this. Yeah, there we go. The sting. No bug tonight because it just sometimes knocks our sync out, and we don't want that. We don't want to be talking Chinglish or anything. So yes, good evening. It is just after 9 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock and almost a minute past. And it is Tuesday the 14th of April 2015. And if anyone from work is watching, hello, because they were asking me questions this week about my show. Yes, if you're watching, hello, John. And if you're not watching, why not? What can I say? Tonight, of course, I have this man, Mr. Garry Dibley, with
Good
2
evening.
R's. Yes.
2 hours.
2 hours. And we've got all sorts of bits and pieces for you. Yeah. We're just going to take it as it comes, type thing. You know, ish. We've got bits of VT that may come on this week. They may come on next week. But what we do have definitely this week is an interview I did with the Vaper Expo guys, Lee and Jay, that I did a couple of weekends ago at the Midlands Vape Meet. We've got some news stories. We've got the latest Not Blown Smoke VT, which is rather good, plus other bits. Yeah, but all of that are after the titles. Yes, see you in a minute.
Vaper Scene is proudly sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids.
Yes, good evening, good evening, good evening. And I was looking in chat there, and Chief Keith says he's just stuffed his face. I'm actually quite hungry, I have to say. I've got my juice down here, out of the way. But yeah, a tad peckish, I have to say, tad peckish. And just before we started, we were talking about cider, and Disco Des has promised Garry and myself that he will provide us with some cider at Vapefest 2015. Yes, so we're looking forward to that, aren't we, Garry?
We are, yeah. Mugs at the ready.
Yeah. So how's your week been? Let me
It's
go
been
into this
good.
one. We'll go into this
Yes.
one now, the dual
Very-
shot.
Very good, very
Yeah.
good.
What have you been up to?
I won the Grand National, didn't I? I tell you, I had mentioned to you. We had a lucky bet on my wife come in with the thing and said pick a horse, and I didn't have a clue. We've got 4 legs and a bloke sat on top. So had a scan down the list, and there was one in there that it was clouds, so I went that one. And I turned around to her and said, I'm going to win. And she went, no, you're not. I said, I'm definitely going to win this year. And it romped it home, didn't it? So we had fun. I went out buying things for the workshop. I think I put £5 on each way and come home with £216.60. So yeah, I went and bought some suction for the workshop.
Yes, which you will see in a bit of VT later on in the show, yeah. I backed a horse once at 1:45. Unfortunately, it came in at 5:30. Ha ha ha. Stop backing horses at the Grand National because every time I backed one, it tended to fall over, break his legs and get shot. So I thought I was probably not doing it many favours. So I don't really back horses these days. I've had the odd winner now and again, but I haven't backed the National for many years now. Yes. But there you go. We digress.
Yes.
And I hope if you did bet, you betted responsibly. And if you won, you spent it unwisely on a new mod.
Yeah.
Or in Garry's case, a new suction device for his workshop, which looks very nice. And apparently it sucks rather well. Is that right?
It does. It is most definitely the most sucking I've had in this shed since it was built. The power on it is incredible. I had a little Tesco Hoover to picking up dust. You know, the 40 quid little non-bagless thing, and this thing swallowed it when I turned it on. It is. I told you I was doing some sanding over the lathe, and the hosey thing was over here, and you could just see the stream of dust flying straight out and curving round to the little Aspire carbon fibre Aspire thing with a twisty knob on the top. And Liberty Flights so kindly sent me through an email tempting me just as I had funds in pocket. And I think we may have had a little glitch.
We had a little blip there. I noticed a little flash in the corner of the screen. So hopefully,
Yes.
hopefully,
We're now not talking in Chinglish.
yeah. And in fact, I now can't even change shot.
Excellent.
Oh, there we go. It changed eventually. I pressed it about 5 times. Yes. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, do continue, dear boy.
Yeah, I was going to say I like the look of it, and watched a couple of reviews. It looks for the price. It looks a nice little mod. I mean, it's only I think it's 1700 milliamp hour battery in there. It'd be interesting. They tell me it should be arriving with them this week. The Americans get everything first, don't they? They've had theirs and the reviews are out and this and the other. But yeah, looks an interesting little device. And then I treated myself to calls and this that and the other from my pack. I went shopping on there. So yes, my wife come to me and said, "Do you know what we could spend your winnings on? We need some new garden furniture." I was like, not happening. I've just bought a Hoover. It's not a Hoover, a Vac Shop Pro, a new mod, and a load of paraphernalia to go in stuff that I've got already. So we weren't talking for 2 hours.
Bonus.
Yeah, myself in here, and I was happy. Yeah. But yes,
Make sure you keep that ceramic flagon away from her, because otherwise it would be hand thrown at your head. And yes, and apologies, we are out of sync once again. We were out of sync earlier before you went live, and then we were back in sync, and now we're out of sync. So apologies for that. It's out of our control, I'm afraid. Might have to go back to just broadcasting on broadband as opposed to 4G. I'm not sure if that's the issue or not, but we'll have to take the quality down if we do that to like 360. We're going out at 720 at the moment. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe I can go out at that and use 4G for Gary's for the laptop. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens there. I just wish BT would pull their finger out and put a fibre cabinet in, because it's ridiculous. It's a but there you go. I'm just ants in the system, says Bruni.
It is.
Quite possibly.
I've just noticed that Sab has actually put in our chat that she would like to see my sucker thing. It does. I'm going to show you that a little bit later, actually. How impressed I was with it. That features, but it makes an appearance.
It does make an appearance, yes. For I have watched the piece of VT a couple of times, yes, as I do. I watch all the VTs for the show on the night of the show, as well as watching them beforehand and obviously editing them as we go on. But there you go. So where are we going to start with this week then? Shall we go with, in our kind of team chat, we have various chats going on, and one of them is we share news items amongst each other, and then we kind of, one person will pick them up for one show. We may not put them on any shows at all, but if we see an article, we put it in there. So we share things around, and very boring shared a link to this little story, and it's in Esquire. So if you can put the link into chat, please. Will Self and his addiction to vaping, and this was yesterday by Will Self, who's, as you know, if you've seen him on things like 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown and things like that, he's got an extremely dry sense of humour, and the article is extremely interesting. It's very incisive, and it's worth a read. And we can't go through the whole article because it is quite long, but it's well worth a read. Have a look at that. And we're trying to get Mr. Self on one of our shows if we can, just talk to him, because if we can speak to people in the public eye who are vaping, then maybe it will kind of normalise things a bit more and not kind of label us all as astroturfs and ants. And if you watched Dave Dawn's show last week, the Haze Hour last Thursday, you'd have seen the website that is a little bit dodgy, really, yeah. Made to look like it wasn't, but it is. We won't talk too much about that. It's been all over Twitter, and I was going to bring you something. Have it? I may not. The article by Will Self is it's very good. It's a really good read. Likes that a lot. Did you read that, Gary?
Joe, a tiny bit of it. I skipped it, if you know what I mean. And the bit that I liked is where he describes in there looking through the tobacconist shop window, staring at the briar pipes,
yes.
and not wanting to end up being an old fart with a pipe in his mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that bit.
I did think that was
made
funny.
Me chuckle. Yes,
Yeah.
But that was the bit that stuck in my mind for some reason, because it's I think most of us when we were smokers at some point thought we'd all end up, particularly me, having a shed fetish, being stuck. Not fetish, but you know what I mean. That's not my colleagues at work think that I'm going totally off subject again. They reckon that I've got 50 sheds of grey because I spend a lot of time. But yeah, I think I certainly visualise myself as an old bloke with a pipe in a shed for some bizarre reason.
And a huge pile of magazines. New Scientist, obviously.
Oh no, Turner's Weekly.
Now, before we go on, let me just go back to this shot one sec. There we go. Before we go on, just notice in chat here, I've had to scroll back up. Disco Des as a vape meet this Saturday at the Priestley Inn near Shepton Mallet, Somerset, from 4 p.m. till late, or until we all fall over. And if Disco Des is on the, that'll be about 4:10. So, Priestley Inn near Shepton Mallet, Somerset. 4 p.m. till late. Yes, there you go. There you are, Des. That's worth at least 2 pints now. What do you reckon, Gary?
I'm going for the barrel.
Well, apparently it's £11 a gallon.
Is it?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. There's also quite a bit of chat at the minute, excuse me looking down here, about different browsers. Yes. I have issues with I use Firefox, Chrome and Internet Explorer 11, I have to say. And I have different things happening on each one. So all kind of Vaper Trails stuff I keep on Chrome, and then the other stuff I've got Firefox, but some things don't work on Firefox.
No.
But they work on Chrome and they work on Internet Explorer. I just wish there was one browser that was A, secure, B, everything worked on it, and C, Shockwave Flash didn't crash at least 3 times a day, because it does on Firefox. So Firefox, Mozilla, get it sorted. And Adobe, of course. But other Flash players are probably available. I don't know.
Yes.
But there you go. Enough about that.
I have something really rather random. That
Okay, hold on. Let me put you on screen. There you go.
That I've just remembered, and,
Yes.
and I only remembered it because I just looked over and I thought, oh, that's still there. I had somebody through a company that we work for, do quite a bit of work with, wanted to. They've seen Louis walking around their premises and talking to people with his big thing going on while he's chatting away and this that, and the other, and they wanted to try something. So I'm going to show you what they went out to buy, and then tell you why it's in my possession.
Oh, a Vibe.
Yeah, I've got here a Vibe with. I'll show you how much out of the original cart is left. There is it's got about 5 mil taken from the top. I've got 3 brand new cartridges and still the brand new cartridge, the spare one that come with the kit. Because when I was up there for a meeting the other day, they turned around and went, "That is absolutely, what were you trying to do?" So I said, "All right, I'll sort you out." So I had some, I still had packets of the bulk standard C4 type things, a couple of egos, proper charger, correct charger, this, that and the other, bottle of juice, took it down, set it up for her, called today. I said, "What do you want me to do with that stuff?" She said, "Put it in the bin." and she's already now looking for other bits. So I suppose it goes to show, not those are okay, but they're not for everybody, if you know what I mean. And I had a little blast on it. It's shocking.
Is it really? I've not actually seen one in the flesh. I have to say.
This is the Very Vault one. So you've got it says press the bottom one if you want little vapor, and press the top one if you want big vapor, double switch. And there's no difference at all between the little vapor and big vapor. It is absolutely, and it's fully charged and it's functioning and all that sort of stuff. But I thought I'd mention it.
Get the fluke on it next week and tell us what the voltages are coming out of it. See if there's any difference. Yeah. But yes, I've not actually seen one of those. In fact, bring it to Vape Jam. I'll have a look at it.
We can burn it together.
Yes. Still talking about Explorer, etc. And yes, people still use Internet Explorer. I do still use it, but not very often. Yes. Okay, right, we digress. Let us go to a little bit of VT, and this is the latest VT from the Not Blown Smoke camp. It's been tweeted around today, and there is some other stuff coming up which I can't show you yet. But hopefully we'll be able to show you that soon, and it's rather good, I have to say. But here's the latest bit of VT from the Not Blown Smoke camp.
Most of you have probably seen or heard about the stillblowingsmoke.org campaign that's been launched in California, and you may be asking yourself, why is the California Department of Public Health so against vaping when year after year more smokers are turning to e-cigs as a less harmful alternative to tobacco cigarettes? Isn't their number one priority preserving public health? Isn't that their job? Problem number 1. The more money Big Tobacco makes, the more money California gets. In 1998, a deal was struck between the biggest Big Tobacco companies and 46 U.S. states called the Master Settlement Agreement, or MSA. This agreement said that these Big Tobacco companies would make yearly payments to the states in exchange for the states dropping lawsuits against them regarding smoking-related deaths and expenses. The amount of money Big Tobacco pays the states each year is directly dependent on how much they sell. Problem number 2. The states spent that money before they got it. Most of the states wanted all that money up front, instead of waiting for payments from Big Tobacco each year. Cigarette sales have dropped 3.4% per year. That sounds amazing, but not for the states like California. Remember those bonds they sold? They were counting on money from Big Tobacco, and since it's not coming, they can't pay back the bonds they sold, and either have to take money from other places or risk defaulting. New Jersey, Ohio, and Virginia have already announced they have to take money from their reserves due to insufficient funds from the tobacco money. And with the growing popularity of e-cigarettes, the smoking rate is declining even faster. California and New York are being affected the most because they have the highest populations and are owed the most money by Big Tobacco under this agreement. In 2013, cigarette shipments saw their biggest decline since 2009, and many financial analysts say the cause of that severe decline is e-cigarettes. In 2012, Americans bought over 14 billion packs of tobacco cigarettes and 200,000 packs of e-cigarettes. The following year, sales of tobacco cigarettes decreased by 1 billion, and sales of e-cigarettes doubled. Wells Fargo estimates tobacco cigarette sales will decline by 68% over the next 10 years, and e-cigarette sales will increase more than 13 times. So naturally, California is panicking. The way they see it, e-cigarettes are taking money away from them, regardless of the fact that people are getting off tobacco cigarettes. So it's now California's mission to either A, ban e-cigarettes completely and get people back on cigarettes so the money starts rolling in again, or B, classify e-cigarettes as a tobacco product so they can tax them like they do tobacco cigarettes, higher than normal sales tax, and roll them into the MSA agreement so they too have to pay the states. One of their key arguments is that if e-cigarettes fall under the MSA and also have to make payments to the states, that money gives these states a powerful tool to stop e-cigarette makers from targeting youth. No wonder one of stillblowingsmoke.org's biggest and most unfounded talking points is that e-cigarettes are marketed to children, and never mind that only 14.6% of the funds the states receive from Big Tobacco actually go towards costs associated with smoking or smoking prevention. So the truth? California needs tobacco sales to stay high, otherwise they default on their bonds. E-cigarettes are getting in the way of that. It looks like the health of the public isn't the top priority for the Department of Public Health. Their top priority? Their wallet.
Yes, there you go. Interesting stuff, isn't it? You sell bonds based on money that you expect to come in, but then when it doesn't come in because there's less money being made by the tobacco companies, you end up in a bit of strife. Yes, we'll talk about this a bit further after the break. We'll see you in 2.
Vaper Scene is proudly sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids.
Often imitated, never duplicated. Award-winning service and products from cloud9vaping.co.uk.
And now it's back to Vaper Scene on Vaper Trails TV. Sponsored by Healthy Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids.
And welcome back to part two. Gary and I were just having a little chat there through the break, yes, chatter talking about somebody who we're not going to name, but his name rhymes with ants. What did you make of that bit of VT, Gary?
It's eye-opening stuff, hasn't it? As you know, as we've looked at in the recent weeks, haven't we?
Yeah.
Huge figures there, aren't there? If you look at the estimated drop off of tobacco, lit tobacco as such, as 68% over a 10-year period. I mean, that's massive, isn't it? I mean, I wonder with figures like that whether they look at the that's based, I'm assuming, on the figures where they are now, rather than looking at additional intake over that 10-year period.
What, start smoking?
Yes. Again, it's interesting, isn't it? That's where we stand at the moment, I suppose, with the decline and the increase in electronic vaping, electronic cigarettes and such. But yeah, you can see why they are ever so slightly, got brown trousers, can't you?
Yes. If you think about it, if they are bonds, allegedly, expecting money to come in, it's like if you sell something before you have it and you haven't got it, then what are you going to do afterwards? And I wouldn't like to be a resident of one of those states where that has happened, because the money's going to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to come from taxation. And see what chat is saying. Graham Gord's ent whistle's certainly gone into one, and there's a lot of expletives that I can't say, mainly because I can't read them, because they've been asterisks out either by the swear filter or he's done it himself. But yes, there doesn't seem to be much love in the room for Mr. Clance, I have to say. And based on what was discovered last week with that website that Dave was talking about in the Haze Hour, made to look like it was, made by one of us, but it quite clearly wasn't. So if we can out that kind of stuff, then that can only help us not being classed as AstroTurf. And I have to say that I saw a post on Facebook last week, and I've got the post, but I'm not going to put it on screen. But it was from a Facebook group with over 10,000 members, and basically it was saying, we don't want to see any posts about advocacy in this group. And then there was some other stuff, which I'm not going to say. I didn't read the post that this other post referred to. But if you're going to deny people working for you as a vapor, who are working for the vaping community, unpaid, if you're going to stop them from putting a post up, then really, what you're all about. Did you see that post, Gary?
I didn't. No.
But you know what I'm talking about.
I've heard about it. Yes.
Yeah. So what do you think about a group that bans people from putting anything advocacy related?
It didn't. It's yeah. I might use the same sort of terminology that Graham has. So yes, I would just say exactly what Graham and fill in the blanks is probably the same sort of feeling.
Old Git has just typed into chat. I was chatting with a friend tonight who works at the local. He said vaping now banned because a study done in Canada and implemented by NHS. Smoking still allowed though. Vaping banned because there's something bad in the vapor. And Rob has put, that's shocking. And it is absolutely incredulous, ridiculous and crazy.
I'm assuming when he says docks, he means boats and not men in white coats.
I would have thought so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I can't see it, and you just said he works in the docks, and that's what we call our DP in the south.
No, it's DOCKS.
Okay, didn't get that.
Yeah, as in Dockers.
Dockers, yes.
And he says he's livid. Said people can smoke near machines, but vape causes problems. Totally crazy.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it is totally crazy. This misinformation and the stuff that gets said that is completely rubbish. It's complete untruths. This is why we need the right information out there, and as vapors we need to pass the right information on, because only then can we beat them. Really, got to beat them at their own game, but do it sensibly, and not attack people on Twitter, not threaten to do certain things, not send them pictures of nooses saying your time is up, all that kind of stuff. Sensible reaction and positive action. I think that's what we really, really need. Yeah. Yes, and some of that I hope is going to come from the events that are happening this year. Next month we've got Vape Jam. June there is Vaper Expo, and then in July there is the e-cig Expo. And of course, we're going to finish off in August with Vape Fest. And I caught up with a couple of guys who are behind the Vaper Expo in Birmingham. We've already spoken to Maria and from Vape Jam. So here are the guys talking to me when I was at the Midlands Vape Meet. Yeah, have a little look. I'm joined by Lee Skeldon and Jay Cox, who are behind the Vaper Expo, or the Vaper Expo, which is when?
It's the 11th and 12th of July.
11th and 12th of July, which is not all that far away, really. We've got Vape Jam in May, and then I forget the name of it, but the other one in Harrogate, and then. The next one is Vaper Expo in July. So guys, tell me more about the event. When did you first discover you wanted to do this, and what was the kind of rationale around it?
Well, to start with, I think it was probably the beginning of last year. We was trying to get in the industry with vapors ourselves, so we wanted to set up a shop or do something in the vapor industry, and we just found it was hard to advertise. You can't advertise on Google, you can't advertise on Facebook, any paid advertising you can't.
What made you choose the NEC?
It's the best venue in the UK.
And it's central to everywhere else in the UK, and it's easy to get to by car, by train. It's got an airport on its doorstep.
Yeah, because we've got a lot of international exhibitors, so a lot of people are starting didn't think it was suitable for some you know, getting so we'd like to say that could come, but we don't really think it's the right environment for young children.
Which is understandable, given that it's really an over 18s pastime as opposed to anything for children. So I can see your point there with young children getting pushed in prams through clouds of vapour. And earlier on today, we witnessed the vaping cloud chasing competition here at Midlands Vaping. And it was pretty cloudy. It's settled down quite a lot now, so much so that we can actually do this recording. But what's it going to be like at the NEC? I take it there's going to be lots of ventilation.
There's actually designated areas to vape in. We've got a chill out area and a bar area and a staging area which will all be allowed to vape in.
So we've got areas which can try and contain it slightly, but obviously it's a lot bigger space than what we've got in here at the moment with really high ceilings, so we presume the vapour will dissipate quite quickly.
And besides that, people can try everything on the stands, but they can't just walk all the way around vaping and blowing big clouds.
Okay, so kind of going around and exhaling huge plumes of vapour is probably a no-no.
Yeah, I think it's just etiquette more than anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't sit in a pub with a dripper blowing big clouds. You've got to be respectful of the people around you. So if you want to do that, go to the areas that we're designating for it. If you just want to have a little bite when you get around, that's fine. But, you know, just be courteous of other people.
Yeah, not a bad little ideology there, really. It is. It's just like smoking, isn't it? You know, in the old days, you wouldn't blow out huge plumes of cigar smoke in a restaurant. Well, I certainly wouldn't, but I know some people might have done, or sit there puffing on a pipe. So you've kind of organised areas where people can do some cloud chasing.
As much as they want, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the industry as a whole has got to respect vapors. So we want to sort of push that across to them as well, so they can't just freely walk around in shops or shopping centres, in pubs, blowing big clouds. So if we stick to them rules as well, everyone should know the rules.
Yeah, and I think that's another point where you do get areas where people might want to just kick out huge plumes, but that probably doesn't do us any favours. Whereas vaping, I wouldn't say stealth vaping, but vaping economically in certain areas certainly would help the cause as opposed to make it any worse.
Obviously, we're trying to target the event to beginners to advanced. So people who are just beginning and on their e-cigs, you know, their little ego cigs and stuff, they're not used to seeing these big clouds. So if people want to do that, do it in the designated areas, just so people, you know, have respect for everyone else that's there who's not into that side of it. Some people are there to quit smoking, so they're there to kind of get into vaping. They don't know what it's about. We've got designated areas and obviously a cloud chasing competition for that.
Okay, and the cloud chasing competition, is that tube and box or?
Yeah, we'll do both. Yeah, it'll be both, similar to what we've seen here today.
Yes, and it was fairly cloudy in here, I have to say, because as I'll probably intercut it actually in a little bit of interview. The amount of cloud that was being exhaled was, let me tell you, dear viewers, it was quite a lot, and it was almost indistinguishable from the background vapour. Yes, but you will see that. So, what else can people expect?
just a fun day out, basically. Other than just vaping, we're trying to organise as much entertainment going on throughout the 2 days as we can. I've been in contact today with a street magician who we're going to try and get there just to walk around the crowd, you know, and
he's also a vapor,
yeah,
so he does his tricks around vaping.
Oh, that's good. But we basically just want to have a fun day out. Obviously, it's aimed at vapors, but vapors, they come from such a broad variety of people. We want to try and cater as much for everyone as we can. Obviously, this is going to be an annual event, so this is setting the foundation events.
Yes, it'd be nice to see these kind of events being annual. You know, we've got Vape Fest now, we've got the other two now this year. So basically May to August is more or less festival period for vaping, which is fantastic. I'm loving the whole idea of this, and it's about time we started to get in line with in so much as the exhibitions and the expos. They've got a lot of catching up to do on what we do in this country, I have to say, but as a convention exhibition type thing, the Americans have us, I think.
That's where we took a lot of our inspiration from. I mean, I like America, I visit America a lot, and I like the way they put a lot of effort and branding into everything that they do. Even the manufacturers, the e-juice manufacturers, everything's about the brand, and it's the same with the exhibitions they do, and they're massive over there. So we're taking our inspiration from events like that, bringing them over to our industry,
and putting our slant on it.
Yeah,
really.
putting our sort of like our own ideas, and build the industry in the UK in our own way. We're taking inspiration from, you know, from America.
Yes, and I think it's going to be good.
Yeah.
It's going to be good, and there's going to be a whole bunch of us from Vape Trials TV going to all these exhibitions this year. So it's going to be a pretty full calendar for all of us. Lots of footage to be got and lots of editing to be done. That is for sure. What else can you tell us about the exhibition? Anything else you want to tell us?
On the website soon for hotels and local.
Yeah, places to stay. Obviously, the exhibitor list growing. Every other day, we're getting new vendors. Obviously, as soon as we can, we get the website updated with all them details. But like we say, it is at the moment, and we're trying to organise not just the exhibition itself and catering for the vendors, but now we're trying to put the promotion in towards the visitors, and obviously get the entertainment there as well.
Yes, all very good stuff. Remind us all what the website address is.
It's www.vaperexpo.co.uk.
That's www.vaperexpo.co.uk. It's a good site, actually. I've been perusing it quite a lot, as I have done.
Well, we're actually making improvements to the site as we speak. We'll have a new version, not completely altered, but with more information on there, more features. Obviously, like the exhibition's growing, the brand's growing, everything else around it's going to grow with it. So we're putting quite a lot of work and a lot of effort, a lot of time into doing all that.
Marvellous. Lee, Jay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, that was Lee and Jay from Vaper Expo, which is July, not June. It's e-cig Expo, which is this one. Which is the 27th and 28th of June in Harrogate, and I'll be talking to the guys from that one very shortly. Yes. Now, apologies for the technical issues we have been experiencing again tonight. I'm not sure which end it is. All I know is I am going up at 35 meg, so plenty of bandwidth. It just seems to drop out for some strange reason. I know not why. We are working in the background to try and find out. And just to clear up a little bit that was in there, because it's been mentioned here in chat, they're not saying you can't vape as you go around. What they're suggesting is that you don't just go billowing huge clouds all the time. There's going to be certain areas where you can do cloud chasing, etc., just to make it a little bit more everybody. Because some people don't do it. Some people just vape kind of in a normal fashion, if you like normal fashion, but not huge clouds. So I think that's what they're trying to do, just kind of make it a nice everybody. So they're not saying that you can't go around vaping, because that's what it's all about in the end. So just to clear that one up. Anything to add there, Gary?
Yeah, I reckon they should get a Vac Shop Pro, and I'm not, I'm not advertising for them, but they're thinking anything out of anything, and I reckon that could have cleared that room in seconds. And you can have a tube coming out the back end of it, filtering outside. It would. Sorry, you could tell I'm excited about sad life, but there we go.
I got to say that was at the back of the shop at Midlands Vaping. Okay, so the bit you saw at the front with the gradient, the numbers, that's at the front of the shop, and you couldn't see the person who was taking part. The person was stood by the door, and at one point you couldn't see them at all, and at one point you couldn't see the back where Lee and Jay and myself were stood. So they had to open loads of windows. It was very cloudy in there, I have to say. So it was good. Yeah. Anyway, listen, we're going to go to the next set of ads, and when we come back, Gary is going to be on with MFT, and you can see his new sucky thing. Yes. See you in 2.
Vaper Scene is proudly sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids.
Vapers, Dripper just got 40% bigger. So if you love discovering new e-liquids, tell Dripper what flavours you like and we'll send you 70ml of juice and at least 5 flavours. With a money-back guarantee and free delivery anywhere in Europe, dripper.co.uk.
RY4 Radio. It's e-cig cloud. Harmless water vapor, right? Pretty much, yes. Compared to a lit cigarette, it's much safer than smoke. But it contains nicotine. And nicotine on its own isn't toxic and doesn't cause cancer. If you're worried about switching to vapor, here are some facts. No tar, no smoke, no burnt tobacco. Cooking your evening meal produces more toxins than are found in exhaled vapor. Tobacco smoke contains toxins at very high levels, and vapor does not. And that vapor contains 6,000 times less carcinogens than cigarette smoke. Electronic cigarette vapor. There's nothing to be frightened of. The only dangerous electronic cigarette is a banned one.
And now it's back to Vaper Scene on Vapor Trails TV. Vaper Scene is sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids.
Okay, we are back in the room again. We did notice a little drop during the ads as well, so apologies for that. We're going to go straight into MFT with Mr. Garry Dibley, and he's called this one T Wood. Yes, I wonder why. Have a little look. Oh, we're going to go slightly over as well, so we'll be going past 10 o'clock. But yeah, never mind. Here we are.
Back for another week, and today we are over the fret saw. Bandsaw is still in the in the planning stages, need to move some stuff around in the workshop, find out exactly where it's going to go, and get the wife to commit to letting me buy one. As soon as I do, I'll be pressing the button. What we're going to do this week, as we mentioned, we might be looking at a slab of wood that we were given, which is this stuff, spalted beech. And what we're going to do is look at using or doing something very similar to this that we've done in acrylic, a simple little ego conversion. I'm going to do it with same size battery. The person I'm actually doing this for wants it around about the same size, so that's what we're going to do. However, when you're doing this, if you add a bigger chunk of wood, now you don't have to have a lathe and all fancy tools and all that to do it. You could make a very simple box mod and put the gubbins of an ego in with an 18650. You could even charge it through the screwy in method, because the charging circuitry in here is built into ego section. And I've done a few mods where I've used that as a charging method, and they work very well. First stages I'm going to do is look at tell you what I'm going to do first. I'm just going to chop. In order, my workshop has been getting extremely dusty, and finally today had a good win on the Grand National. So I went and bought myself a proper Shop Vac Pro, which I can attach to many things, and it will suck for Britain. I've wanted something like that for ages, but for other reasons. So yes, let me show you that. Pop back in two. So yes, I was mentioning I bought myself a new toy for the workshop. Now, to get excited over a bit of suction leaves something to be desired, but it is getting incredibly dusty in here at points, and I was running off a cheapy old Tesco, and because of my Grand National win, I had some spare cash, so we went and bought some stuff that I needed. It's got a little pad you can see next to the switch. There's a little flip up thing on the top there where you can actually feed a drill or something from the Hoover, which is great. Gonna work out some stuff, mounting it over the lathes, this, that and the other, but I just thought I'd show you. If you're where I'm working, it can get very dusty working with wood, working with this, working with that, with the other. And I do normally wear a mask, obviously, but this is going to take quite a lot of that out the atmosphere as I'm using the tool, which is good, it should be. The Hoover just wasn't cutting it, and this thing should. Right, back to where we were. And there we go, or as I like to call it, the best vac in the world. With a really bad impression. I've got a pen blank here, which I'm going to use as a marker. And as I said, if you did have access to a lathe and power tools, not everybody does, I understand that, but hopefully this is just showing you, if you've got the tools and the things you can do. And like you can use ego stuff and all that in a box. You can use it anywhere. Used an ego kit with an 18350 to make a pipe, and a very damn good pipe it was too. This here is a stabilised, it's a pen blank, and it's double dyed with sort of a pink and a purpley colour dye, and then this I would say just dunked in acrylic. It's not, you couldn't make anything that goes in your mouth with this particular type of stabilised blank. However, there are some that are really done properly, and you can. This stuff, the dye's likely to come out. With this, it's mainly for a pen. So you'd turn this and you'd finish it with what they call a CA glue finish, which is super glue. Different types of glue, viscosities, and we're going to show you that on our little ego. We're going to apply a super glue CA finish to this once we've got it all done, drilled out, and this, that and the other. We will be doing that. It is a really nice, durable and incredibly shiny surface when it's done. I think you'll be amazed at just how it works. And this is a marker, just to show a man in the Isle of Wight cut this chunk of wood. He did it exactly to pen blank size. So I'm just going to be realistically marking off. I'm going to have to go in a 10, very uneven. Let me just do it quickly now while I'm here. Difficult to see what I'm doing, but I want to keep it roughly square. It makes it easier when we get it in the lathe. I just want to see roughly how that sort of pans out. always easier when you leave to have a rough square, but I'm taking this a little bit more to allow for the sort of unevenness of one edge. But once it's in, it'll be cool. Let me get this powered up. I'm going to start zipping this through. I don't know if you want to see that process, but basically it's feeding that through a ding dong what's it and sawing an end off. Back into it. I've rigged up the Hoover. No, it's not a Hoover, it's a Vegshop Pro, and it was a bit too noisy. So what I might have to do with this is as we go. But basically I'm just feeding this. I'll just show you the process. It's quite nice and simple. We'll just pin it down because the blade's already in. Minding finger. We've got our first little blank off there, and that should start to show us some of the grain that's actually in there. Now, yeah, it's a bit annoying, not sure yet. I might have to take, yeah, I might have to. What I might have to do is measure up where I'm going, because where this was, it used this to cut out for a bowl. I need to have a quick measure up to make sure I've got enough in this bit here prior to that. I can get that bit gripped in the jaws in the lathe and turn the... I need to do some thinking. Let me just see how it's going to work. I might have to cut another chunk off. I'll come back when we're just about to clamp that in the lathe. But we've sort of got a plan going somewhere. Somewhere, he says, somewhere. Right, so I've got me little cut off. Now I've decided to do something a little bit different in with that, because the bit that I cut off, I can still use this for a pen, but I found whilst looking for a smaller type Ego, one of these, the little mini. Now I'm going to just quickly knock up mini form factor. I'll do a bigger one at some point for said person, but I don't know why, I want to see a mini wood Ego. So I'm going to make it. One of those things. Playing. Making it up as we go along. We haven't got a clue. Now I'm just going to stick this in my jaws of the lathe. And I'm just going to bring in my rear centre. And what I'm going to do is just position that up. Now you could mark this out and you could do all of that sort of stuff. But I just want to get it gripped in nice and tight, give it a spin, see how it runs, everything out of the way. I'm just going to use that to mark the centre, which is way out. I might just give it a little cross on top to get it bang on. Yeah. Might have to, because it's a different shape. It's not perfectly square all the way down, so we're just going to give it a rough centre. Sod's law now, my R is going to be bang smack in the middle, only ever so slightly off. Look at that. Git. Should have just trusted my judgment, shouldn't I, really? Okay. Now, what I'm going to do quickly is just get out a 5mm bit, and I'm just going to run that in ever so slightly to give me a point. And I'll tell you why in a tick. do with that. I like to have a decent grip for my revolving tailstock, because when that's in, this is what clamps up, and then that tightens off, which keeps everything nice and tight. Now I'm just going to bring in the tool rest, and when you're setting up your tool rest, you've got to get it as tight as you can, but without any knocks. And that is relatively tight. One thing I've got to do is change the tooling on my turning tool, and I'll be changing this blade. This is a tungsten carbide blade. I'll be changing that over to a what do you call it? It's a much sharper one for wood. When I think of it, I'll come back and say it. Back in two. Found my blade. Now I just use a power tool. It's got a little, you shouldn't really do this, but it just makes it a damn to get the bloody thing off. Battery's going flat. What a donkey. Now just switch your blade over. Everything's down tight. I'm now going to start rounding off this blank. Now this and that is some properly nice seasoned wood that turned down so easy. Let me just give that more of squaring off. Excellent. I'm impressed with that. That's a brand new blade, by the way. It's a brand new TI blade, and it is as sharp as buggery. That's why it made absolute mincemeat of rounding that down. So what I'm going to do now is roughly look at, I've got more than enough on that little bit there to make me me spalted beach mini thing. I need to go away. I've got to take a measurement of the internals of this top cap, which will need to be drilled in this end, and I need to take a dimension of this top cap, which is where I need to drill down from, because effectively what's going to happen, it will seat back in that way as it is from the top. So I'm only drilling one hole, but I've got to make sure the hole that I'm drilling is enough for this to seat back down into. So I've probably got to go away and dissect, ease this section out on the battery, and get a good measurement on the inner diameter, because this doesn't look like a standard Ego type fitting. It's a bit narrower. That'll then the drill bit size I need to feed into my pilot hole that I've already made, and it will give me a depth that I need to feed that to. It's going to be a bit bigger than this mini when it's finished. Be all sanded down, all finished, and like I say, we'll do the CA glue final top coat on it. Back in 2, time to do some measuring. And after just saying I'll be back in 2, I'll show you that measuring stuff and all of that, I just checked the timing on the videos, and it was running out rather rapidly. So I'm going to leave it at this point next week what we'll be doing is cracking on with, it's going to be a simple case of literally just drilling out, and when we've drilled out, we'll be doing the shaping, a bit of shaping, powering off, and we'll get that done rapidly so we can start to move on to the finishing and the CA glue finish, that sort of stuff. Like I say, if you haven't got the tooling to do this, there are ways of doing it. I've seen people who have turned a bit of wood like this with a drill. You know, you can do it to a certain extent in a pillar drill, but it's always best to have the proper tools to do. Don't rush out and buy a lathe to make a mini ego. There are many other things you can make on it, but you don't have to have it round shaped, this and the other. You can put it in a box, and if you can see just under my arm there, Super Vac is just about to tidy up all of this dust, and I'm going to go and have some dinner. So I'll hand you back to Marco in the studio for now. Next week when we come back, we'll be, as I say, shaping, finishing, and hopefully getting it to a state where we can make it work. Cool. Catch you later. Now, I was going to go back to Marco in the studio, but since recording that little bit, I have been turning this, and this is the blank I showed you earlier, which is a little pen, and it's finished naturally. There's no finish on this at all. As blank, as I said, so this will finish relatively with just micro mesh and sandpaper. But I made this one for the wife. Yeah, I'd sort of show you same sort of principles as what we're doing, but this stuff is as I said earlier, double dyed wood. It's not the sort of stuff you want to use for anything that goes in your mouth, because it's not fully soaked in acrylic. It's sort of just double dyed, and the dust that comes out of this stuff and the way it finishes is not good for the gob. But yeah, pen on the lathe. Didn't show you how I made it, but there we go. Back to Marco now in the studio.
And there you go. Those of you watching live would have had a little bit of... If you're watching this on catch-up, there wouldn't have been an interruption, because you're likely going to be seeing the local record that I've done and will be posting up later. So apologies to everyone in chat and everyone in YouTube watching live. We seem to be having issues, and I don't know what they are. We don't know what they are, but we will try and sort them for next week. Gary, help me.
Yeah, apparently it's something to do with our intergestion settings. So much Rennie next week, mate.
Rennie?
Yeah, intergestion settings apparently are all over the show.
Yes, the ingestion settings.
Okay.
At YouTube. Yes, it's complicated in so much as it is, but it isn't. But it could be. Yes. Anyway, let's hastily retreat before the stream drops. So it kind of leads me to say, thank you so much for sticking with us this week. And don't forget, tomorrow night, it's been Wednesday, it's The Cave with Mr. Matt Gerrish and Ridian, more than likely, yeah. On Thursday, it's the Haze Hour with Dave, Dawn and Keith. And then it's Monday, Trips and Tips with Andy and Davey, and probably part 2 of When Marco Met Davey. Yes, at his house for a few hours, drinking coffee, and then I did other stuff on the way back home from the vape meet I was at. I'm digressing, but there you go. And Gary and myself, hopefully, will see you without interruption next Tuesday night. Say good night, Gary.
Good night. We'll catch you next week.
And don't forget, of course, there is RY4 Radio every night of the week. Links going into chat as we speak. We will see you next week. Thanks for watching.
Vaper Scene is proudly sponsored by Health e-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids.